Patrick's Day. This is my second time recording to the video because the first time I got to the second to the last slide of the presentation I was giving and the video crashed. I hope you see the time I upload this and get the little Irish Republican reference I made there. So today, because I'm civic history and it's St. Patrick's Day, I'll be covering the Irish Revolutionary period, which takes place mainly of the Irish Civil War and the Irish War of Independence. So let's get into the background of this. Now, if you're a fan of Sir Steve O'Timothy, the Irish comedian, you'll know about 4,000 years, even though it's more like 400. And that's the 4,000 years of oppression Ireland faced under British rule. Watch his videos, they're great. So, inevitably, in the 1870s, a party was formed called the Irish Parliamentary Party, and it's proposed a compromise solution, not the independence of Ireland from Great Britain, but a home rule, an Irish parliament. This actually did begin to manifest, as you can see there, with a series of home rule acts. Ireland got parliamentary seats in 1885. They got local mayors and city councils. But it wasn't really until the First World War that they got true home rule. So here's another thing. This is the Easter Rising. This happened in 1916. It could be its own video. Essentially, a group of Irish Republican militias decided to stage a revolt. I am not going to try pronouncing this. Just know that it's an Irish Republican youth organization, like an Irish Republican Boy Scouts. This was an Irish Republicans women's unit. These are the Irish volunteers, or Irish militants and soldiers who volunteered to fight for Ireland, and it was led by Jim Connolly and the Irish Citizens Army, a Marxist syndicalist Irish Republican militia. So, finally, after the First World War and a 1914 act called the Irish Home Rule Act that finally allowed Ireland to have their own parliament called the Dáil, which is Irish for council. And here's how the Irish general election looked. Sinn Féin, the Irish Republican Party, won an overwhelming majority. Huge. They took over sort of where the IPP left off. So at this parliament, they elected Mr. I have his name in my show notes here. Cathal Berga was elected president of the Dáil, and they drafted the documents such as the Declaration of Irish Independence, which saw Ireland become an independent country, forming the Revolutionary Irish Republic, the Democratic Programme, which is where the IRA got its somewhat tied to socialism. It was a program of democratic economics that they used to get the Irish Labour Party on their side, not the labor unions. That's a different labor. So both sides began how do I put this, building up military forces to fight for independence. You have a Mr. Michael Collins here. He served as a general. The Irish Republican forces were loyal to the Irish Republic, were known as the IRA. But no, they're not the one that you're thinking of. The one that you're probably thinking of appeared in the late 60s, early 60s, and split between the officials and the provisionals. Or if you watch that special on Vice, it's Rod and the new IRA. Britain consists of the famous Black and Tans from the song, the British Army, the Royal Irish Constabulary, that's the police, the Auxiliary Division, which were Ulster soldiers, and the Ulster Police. The Black and Tans were a very notorious group of shock troopers. So, pre-war hostilities. Before the official outbreak of war, there were raids on Irish Republican leaders. The Royal Irish Constabulary kept finding guns and bombs. as well as money and medicine being hidden. There were occasional attacks on police by Irish Republican street gangs. Um, this is a very famous Irish Republican flag, the Rising Sun. But finally, war was declared. Irish Republic versus the United Kingdom of Great Britain. So the war escalated. Britain realized that Ireland was in a full scale of revolts. They found that their raids weren't working to restore order and put down the rebellion, so the restoration of order in Ireland was packed, as Ireland was still officially part of the UK. They sent in troops, including one Lieutenant Bernard Montgomery, who became Field Marshal Montgomery of Battle of El Alamein, who actually was quite sympathetic to the Irish cause. The war peaked with the burning of Cork by British forces, i.e. the Black and Tans, in retaliation for a IRA attack on some Ulster auxiliaries. The IRA raided trains that went through Ireland to raid them for supplies and also slow down the British war effort. Here's a memorial, I think, in Dublin for those who died in a massacre. The British and the Irish brigade of Irish troops both committed sort of atrocities. It was brutal fighting. But eventually, this is Monson House, where the Irish Parliament was, uh, a truce was proposed that they would lay down their arms officially in exchange for a negotiated peace or treaty of some kind. So they did finally get a treaty, though not everyone is happy. These are the Irish negotiators here. This was a prayer vigil held outside Monson Hall in the Four Corners to pray for a peace treaty for the Irish situation. And here's a British troop being demobilized with their donkey or horse. But the troubles began. Essentially, during this time, well, the official war was done, but there was attacks on Unionists in Northern Ireland. There were bombings of Catholics, sectarian violence. These aren't the troubles that we're familiar with from the 60s. These were the first troubles. Uh, it was quite commonplace to see people reading the death tolls from various little dust-ups between Irish Republican forces and British forces. So here's where things sit in around 1922. You have the Irish Free State, a dominion and self-ruling realm of the United Kingdom. It had a governor general. It still swore its allegiance to the British kings, but it was essentially fully independent. They had gotten their true home rule. They didn't have a prime minister. They had a president of the Dáil Éireann. I know I am pronouncing that bad, but I don't speak Irish. So that's where things sit. However, there was trouble in paradise. Essentially, many of those in the IRA felt that they had been betrayed. They fought for the Irish Republic, the 32-county Irish Republic, not 26 counties plus 6 counties in Northern Ireland that decided to stay loyal. And also, they fought for independence, not to be essentially Australia. So it was divided. You had the Irish Free State, that's 26 counties of Southern Ireland, and their forces, the pro-treaty IRA, which became the Irish National Army, and the Irish Republic, the goal of the revolutionary state. They had the anti-treaty IRA, also known as the Irregulars, because the Irish National Army were the regulars, so the anti-treaties became the Irregulars. The biggest and most heaviest fighting was the Battle of Dublin, where, okay, this can be kind of confusing here, but even though the Free State was declared and was the official government, the Irish Republic still had all the power. They had ministers, they had legislatures, they had an army that was actually quite strong, they had police that were loyal to them, they had local councils loyal to them. So the pro-treaty IRA, the Irish National Army, and Britain led an offense on the Four Corners here, which was the headquarters of the Irish government, laying siege. This is Mr. Cathalberga again. They set the building on fire to smoke them out, and eventually it was destroyed in a bombing. Here are some people at the. There was some guests at a local hotel having to be evacuated. It was an intense fighting. If you've read the story The Sniper in probably 8th or ninth or 10th grade English, this is the battle that it's taking place during. After their victory in that, the pro-treaty forces took on a campaign to eradicate the Irish stronghold in the southeast of England. The leader of the chief general of the pro-treaty IRA, a Mr. Liam Lynch, this here, the very attractive man in glasses, was killed during this campaign, as well as the military commander, a Mr. Michael Collins, was also killed during this campaign. But the Free State was heavily successful. They removed many Irish nationalist politicians from power. They easily put down revolts. The IRA at this time, the irregulars were running out of money and troops. I mean, here's them being removed. Here's them being, imprisoned. These are pro government forces. There's an armored car. So after this, the irregulars shifted to a guerrilla war. In this county, I believe is Cork, and this county Cork here, and I can't remember what this county is called, but these were two of the heaviest fighting. This was bombing, shootouts with police and the Irish army. It was brutal. Here's a memorial in Dublin for the fallen who have died during the guerrilla war phase. And this was a leader of the IRA, I can't remember his name, during this period. But eventually, war nears the end. As I said, the IRA was running out of money, troops, and bullets. And many decided after a while that half a loaf, they can govern themselves, is still better than full loaf. De Valera, who was serving as prime minister and was an Irish nationalist and very sympathetic to the Irish Republic idea, basically said, well, what if one day we just tell Britain to go away? And that's essentially what they did. In 1936, Ireland, the 26 counties declared themselves the Republic of Ireland and left the United Kingdom. So here's the political legacy, as I mentioned, the leaving of being the Irish Republic, being the Republic of Ireland, establishing themselves as a true just themselves, as opposed to being a dominion of the United Kingdom. And this campaign continued, the Civil War continued into the troubles we know today. They knew in the 1960s. Well, anyways, thank you for watching. There's a great video by, I believe, either The Great War or Histories. I'll link them in the description. But I hope you all have a lovely St. Patrick's Day. Thank you for watching. If you're feeling generous, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Bye! Also, wait before I go, thank you all to the new subscribers. I really appreciate your support. Bye now.